everybody, and welcome back to SFF180. It is Monday morning, the 8th of July, 2019, and time once again for the mailbag. I hope you guys have had a great week. I hope those of you who celebrated the holiday last week had a terrific holiday, a very safe and relaxed and fun holiday. All right, not a whole lot in the way of announcements, except to say that today, this is the day, the last day that you can vote in the BooktubeSFF Awards, and you don't have much time. I'm posting this at my usual time, 7 in the morning Central, and the voting shuts down at noon. So basically, as of the moment this goes live, you've got 5 hours. And if you come to the video a little later, you'll have less time than that. Up until noon Central today. So I'll leave the link below. Get your butts over there and vote. If you haven't done it, we need as many votes as we possibly can in as many categories as you feel that you are fit to vote in. But otherwise, yeah, so that's happening. And then this coming Saturday, the 13th, is the live show over at Sam's channel, Thoughts on Tomes. So pencil that into your calendar as well, okay? All right, well, we have, since there was an off week last week, a big old stack of books to get to. So let's not waste any more time, shall we? And there's a whole heck of a lot in this week from Random Penguins, so I'm just going to start cutting them open and seeing what's inside. Okay, and we're starting off this week with a new book by Jay Kristoff. This is a YA, and this appears to be the sequel to his book Lifelike, and it's called Deviate. Again, doing that cute thing with numbers instead of letters in the title. So let's see. This came out on June the 25th, so it's available now. And let's see, well, what can I say? Again, because it's the middle book in a trilogy, to avoid spoilers. It says, oh, here we go. The Lifelike series is Romeo and Juliet meets Mad Max with a bit of Blade Runner on the side. Perfect for fans of science fiction and books like Marie Lou's Warcross, Marissa Meyer's Renegades, Ernest Cline's Ready Player One, and Daniel H. Wilson's Robopocalypse. While Lifelike gave readers the making of a villain in Eve, Deviate is superhero origin story focusing on Lemon's rise to claim her destiny as a hero. Okay, so right there, you pretty much know, yes or no, whether or not this book is for you, okay? But Deviate by Jay Kristoff is available now in hardcover. And the next one up is something that's very nice to have. This is also a YA. I was sent the electronic arc of this one, actually, a little while back, so I've had it for a bit on the iPad, but it's nice to have a finished copy. This is a book called Spin the Dawn. The author is Elizabeth Lim, and as you can see by the cover, this is an Asian-themed fantasy. And I've always thought it looks really, really nice. It's got a beautiful, beautiful cover image. But let's see. It is the first book in a new Own Voices YA fantasy set in a fantastical world based on ancient China. Part epic adventure, part fairy tale, Spin the Dawn is tailor-made for fans of Sarah J. Maas, not so good, and Tamora Pierce, better. Okay, this comes out tomorrow, July the 9th, and it goes like this. Maya Tamarin dreams of becoming the greatest tailor in the land. But as a girl, the best she can hope for is to marry well. Ain't that the way? When a royal messenger summons her ailing father, once a tailor of renown, to court, Maya poses as his son and takes his place. She knows her life is forfeit if her secret is discovered, but she'll take that risk to achieve her dream and save her family from ruin. There's just one catch. Maya is one of 12 tailors vying for the job. What would be great if it turned out that all the 12 tailors were like girls posing as boys because there weren't actually any boys good enough? That would be funny. Anyway, backstabbing and lies run rampant as the tailors compete in challenges to prove their artistry and skill. So it's like a reality show. Maya's task is further complicated when she draws the attention of the court magician, Eden, whose piercing eyes seem to see straight through her disguise. Well, we know where that's going. And nothing could have prepared her for the final challenge to sew 3 magic gowns for the Emperor's reluctant bride-to-be. From the laughter of the sun, the tears of the moon, and the blood of stars. With this impossible task before her, she embarks on a journey to the far reaches of the kingdom, seeking the sun, the moon, and the stars, and finding more than she could ever have imagined. I mean, it does sound like it is some, a season, an entire season of a clothes-designing reality show set in a fantasy kingdom in a way, doesn't it? But it sounds like a cute idea, and again, the cover is gorgeous. And I like Asian-themed fantasy very much. So Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim is available tomorrow in hardcover. And continuing on with Random Penguin, I tell you, these vacuum sealed packages are an absolute nightmare to open, but on the one hand, I will say that they do protect the books pretty well, but still, God. All right. Okay, well, that was worth the effort. This is a book that I have had on my most anticipated list for the entire year, since late last year when it was announced. I'm very happy to have it at last. This is not a YA. This is a book called Gods of Jade and Shadow. The author is Silvia Moreno Garcia, and this is available on the 23rd of July. And this is sort of like a deco-punk fantasy with some, with Mexican culture woven in. Goes like this. The jazz age is in full swing, but Cassiopeia Tunn is too busy cleaning the floors of her wealthy grandfather's house to listen to any fast tunes. Nevertheless, she dreams of a life far from her dusty small town in southern Mexico, a life she can call her own. Yet this new life seems as distant as the stars until the day she finds a curious wooden box in her grandfather's room. She opens it and accidentally frees the spirit of the Mayan god of death, who requests her help in recovering his throne from his treacherous brother. Okay, well, I'm immediately interested to know why her grandfather had the Mayan god of death in a box in his bedroom in the first place. I would like to know that. Failure will mean Cassiopeia's demise, but success could make her dreams come true. In the company of the strangely alluring god and armed with her wits, Cassiopeia begins her adventure that will take her on a cross-country odyssey from the jungles of Yucatan to the bright lights of Mexico City and deep into the darkness of the Mayan underworld. And this just sounds absolutely awesome to me. It has ever since I first got wind of it. And as I said, this will be available on July the 23rd from Rey Books. Let me know in the comments. Okay, so this next one is actually from Hachette, the Hachette group, and not from Random Penguin, but it is still going to give my scissors hand a workout here, cutting these things open. I said, well, maybe I can try to tear this one. Oh, this might work. Oh, this is nice to see. For some reason, I thought I already had this, and then of course I do already have it. But then I realized, well, maybe the version that I have was not a finished copy in trade paperback. Maybe that was actually an ARC, even though it's a very nice looking ARC. But here's a hardcover version. Okay, I'm fine with that. This is a book called Rather Weird. Okay, and it comes out July the 30th from Quercus Publishing. The author is Andrew Caldecott, and it goes like this. The year is 1558. 12 children, gifted far beyond their years, are banished by their tutor queen to the town of Rotherweird. Some say they are the golden generation, some say the devil's spawn. But everyone knows they are something to be revered and feared. 4.5 centuries on, cast adrift from the rest of England by Elizabeth I, and still bound by its ancient laws, Rotherweird's independence is subject to one disturbing condition. Nobody, but nobody, studies the town or its history. Then an outsider arrives, a man of unparalleled wealth and power, enough to buy the whole of Rotherweird, deeply buried secrets and all. Okay. And then I guess some secrets will be revealed as a result of that. But yeah, this looks very much a fascinating fantasy concept. Sounds a whole lot like the kind of thing that you would get in the past from authors like Charles DeLint, maybe, or Robert Holdstock, writers like that. Sounds like it's in that kind of tradition. But, as I said, Rather Weird, available July the 30th. All right, so moving on, we are back to Random Penguin again, and now it is box time. So a whole bunch of books are going to be in here. Let's just go through them one by one, shall we? Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff in there, looking really good, and we are starting off with the finished copy of The Wolf's Call. Now, this is a new fantasy novel by Anthony Ryan, and it is the first book in a new trilogy called Raven's Blade, and this is set in the same universe as a previous trilogy, I think starting with the book Blood Song, I think it was. Yeah, this took place in the Raven's Shadow trilogy. That was the past trilogy, and now the new trilogy is Raven's Blade. All right, it goes like this. A thrilling new story of razor-sharp action and epic adventure. Peace never lasts. Valen Alsorna is a living legend, his name known across the realm. It was his leadership that overthrew empires, his blade that won hard-fought battles, and his sacrifice that defeated an evil more terrifying than anything the world had ever seen. He won titles aplenty, only to cast aside his earned glory for a quiet life in the realm's northern reaches. Yet whispers have come from across the sea, rumors of an army called the Steel Horde, led by a man who believes himself a god. Valen has no wish to fight another war, but when he learns that Sharon, the woman he lost long ago, has fallen into the Horde's grasp, he resolves to confront this powerful new threat. To this end, Valen travels to the realms of the Merchant Kings, a land ruled by honor and intrigue. There, as the drums of war thunder across kingdoms riven by conflict, Valen learns a terrible truth. There are some battles that even he may not be strong enough to win. Oh my. All right, well, as you see, it sounds very much like conventional epic fantasy. But if you're a fan of that sort of thing, and if you like the previous trilogy, then I'm sure this is for you. The Wolf's Call is a July hardcover from Ace Books. And next up in this box is another book by the wildly prolific Mercedes Lackey. This is a book called I Spy, and it is the second in her new series, The Family Spies. And this is set in her Valdemar universe. I think something like 174 of her other books have taken place in this universe. So if you are a fan of Mercedes Lackey and her Valdemar novels, well, then I Spy is a July hardcover from DAW. And finally in that box is the finished copy of Howling Dark. Now this is a new book by Christopher Rocchio, and this is the second book in a series called The Sun Eater, the first volume of which was Empire of Silence, I believe, yes. And this is epic scale space opera, basically. You know, books are massive, and I guess it, follows heroic adventure in space. I have the first one, haven't actually dug into it. I am sort of monitoring a couple of my friends online. Some of my other booktuber friends who are kind of reading the first one now, and some of them are saying, well, it takes a little time to get going, but I'm starting to sort of enjoy it. So, all right, so it could be very promising. But if you've read the first book, let me know what you thought of it. Only, I guess I can just give a quick blurb to the effect. This is from James S.A. Corey. Empire of Silence is epic science fiction at its most genuinely epic. Okay, well then you don't get much more epic than that. Rocchio has made something fascinating here, and I can't wait to see what he does next. All right, then. So, Publishers Weekly says space opera fans will savor the rich details of Rocchio's far-future debut, which sets the scene for a complicated series. Readers who like a slow-building story with strong character focus will find everything they're looking for in this series opener. Okay, so first book appears to have gotten really good reviews, so maybe I will dig into it soon. But Howling Dark is now available in July from DAW Books. And onward with more Random Penguin. Oh, by the way, I did see a street date for The Wolf's Call in hardcover. That is July the 23rd. And here we have, from Rey Books, Alpha and Omega. This is a new book by the alternate history writer Harry Turtledove, very prolific writer. This one apparently is already out. This came out on the 2nd, evidently. And it goes like this. What would happen if the ancient prophecy of the end of days came true? Dun, dun, dun. It is certainly the last thing Eric Katz, a secular archaeologist from Los Angeles, expects during what should be a routine dig in Jerusalem. But perhaps higher forces have something else in mind when a sign presaging the rise of the Third Temple is located in America. A dirty bomb is detonated in downtown Tel Aviv, and events conspire to place a team of archaeologists in the tunnels deep under the Temple Mount. It is there that Eric is witness to a discovery of such monumental proportions that nothing will ever be the same again. Oh dear. All right then, Alpha and Omega from Harry Turtledove is available now in hardcover from Rey Books. Okay, this next one is really exciting to me. This is another YA, but it is by Sam J. Miller, who wrote Blackfish City, which I reviewed earlier this year. And this is his second YA novel. And it's a book called Destroy All Monsters. And, yeah, let's see. And like his earlier YA novel, called The Art of Starving, which dealt with eating disorders, this appears to be another book sort of rooted in disability as a general premise. But it goes like this. Ash and Solomon live in two separate worlds. Solomon spends most of his time in Darkside, an otherworldly city teeming with fantastic beasts and oozing corruption. There, he and his fellow Othersiders are targeted by the establishment, forces that fear them and their awe-inspiring powers, forces that control Solomon's city and want to capture him, break him, and take away his powers. They call him a monster and they want him destroyed. Ash lives in the real world, the one with school and bullies and boys and clueless parents. Ash wishes she could escape to another dimension too, but when she looks at Solomon, she knows there is something very wrong with him. Something in his brain, something that started the day she fell from his treehouse, a day that neither one of them can remember. As Solomon drifts further and further away from reality, Ash becomes desperate to bring him back. But to do so, she's certain she must recover her memory from that day 12 years ago and find out what really happened. And it looks like, okay, this one came out last week from Harper Teen, so it's available now in hardcover, Destroy All Monsters by Sam J. Miller. And to finish up this week, we have two more from Harper Voyager. And the first of these is an arc for a book called The Blue Eye, and the author is Ozma Zianat Khan. And this looks to finish up the trilogy that she began with a book called The Blood Print, and the second book was called The Black Khan. And essentially it is all about a resistance group known as the Companions of Hera, a team of powerful women who work to change the dire situation of the world. It's called The Coruscant Archives, the whole series. And it's about identity, belonging, and a diverse cast of strong women fighting against an oppressive regime. A mission most of us can relate to. Okay, so The Blue Eye looks to finish this trilogy up, and this comes out October the 22nd from Harper Voyager. And we finish up this week with the finished copy of The Hound of Justice. The author is Claire O'Dell, and I'm really kind of keen to get into these now because the more I hear about them, the more fun they seem to be. The first book in this series, which was called A Study in Honor, won the Lambda Award, apparently. And so now we have the sequel. And this is basically a near-future sort of lesbian retelling of the Sherlock Holmes theme, as it were. And it's called The Janet Watson Chronicles. This comes out on the 30th. It says, Sherlock meets Ben Winter's Underground Airlines. The Hound of Justice is set in a near-future Washington, D.C. during the new Civil War. Living in a divided nation takes its toll on many, both soldiers and civilians alike, and no one understands the repercussions more than Dr. Janet Watson. Holmes is a fugitive in hiding, and Janet has been forced onto the sidelines as a surgeon at Georgetown University until she masters her new high-tech arm. When a drone kills 50 people and injures hundreds more, people speculate on a potential presidential assassination. Holmes and Watson are reunited to unravel a plot that has been concocted by one of the greatest enemies they have ever faced. Yeah, these just sound like all kinds of entertaining. And so The Hound of Justice, as I said, comes out the end of the month on the 30th by Claire O'Dell from Harper Voyager. And that is it. That's what I've got this week in the mailbag. You guys know the drill. Light up those comments. Let me know which of these looks most interesting and exciting to you, which you would like to see me prioritize for review. Otherwise, if you enjoyed watching, please slam that like button, share the video far and wide with all of your SFF reading friends, and above all, please subscribe if you have not done so. That is how the channel grows. You can also support the channel at my TeePublic store and at my Patreon, where recruits into Wink's Army get little perks like getting to see my videos early. I want to thank all of those folks for their additional support. It's extremely helpful. If you're interested in that, it's $2 a month. And it mostly goes to paying my thumbnail artist, my wonderful channel artist, Matt Olson, who has done such great work for me and is going to be doing more great work for me in the future. Just stay tuned for some of that. All right, so until I see all of you guys next time, happy reading.